Marysville to Magnolia, this is KIRO Radio, 97.3 FM. News and talk, powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Our city and our region are falling apart. Seattle's about to do something with its judicial system that I don't think has been done anywhere in the country that's going to make our streets far more dangerous. Our Seattle cops are planning a mass exodus, according to some reports, because they're so upset at the city council. Nationally, you got Democrats' new strategy for 2020 and 2018, nationally and locally. Let's just give people more free stuff. We're coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio and streaming on Facebook Live. So obviously, I have an awful lot of stuff to talk about today, but OMG, OMG, OMG. Kendall Jenner is on the cover of the new Vogue magazine with an afro, you guys. Yes, that is the correct response, Ursula. Social media is all agog because in the November issue, she's wearing a variety of the Brock collection dresses, and she's sporting an afro, her hair frizzy and teased out. Some people are very upset. They say it's cultural appropriation. They're questioning, why didn't Vogue use a black model for this cover shoot? And so the comment section on Vogue's Instagram post that shows Kendall's afro, it's going crazy. They're asking, why have a white girl for this gig? They say it's racist. They say it's demeaning. And now Vogue has apologized, and they say they didn't mean to offend anyone.
Well, you are worked up about that. I will ask, though, why did they make her hair all...
Well, because part of this Brock collection, I actually looked into this a little bit or so. The Brock collection reflects a time when
60s
women...
and 70s, puffed out,
yes, when women routinely did wear their hair like that. And I just wanted to make sure that amidst all of the madness that we have going on here locally, that nationally and internationally there is something crazier happening, and that's that Kendall Jenner has an afro in the new Vogue magazine.
And, you know, Kendall Jenner's apologizing. Do you remember that she was also in the midst of that
I don't know what you're about to say, but the answer is no. When anything starts with, do you remember?
You will remember, because I think we might have talked about it. The Pepsi commercial. Kind of something similar.
The Super Bowl.
No.
Well, we did talk about it.
I have absolutely no recollection of this. Honest to goodness, I'm not kidding.
Anyway, she felt like she was misguided. There was a huge uproar about the Pepsi commercial.
Okay, well.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, she's wearing an afro on Vogue, okay? With that as mere prelude, let's get to our top story.
The Big Lead. Top story.
There is some insanity, in all seriousness, going on in Seattle right now. Seattle City Council just turned over the streets of the city to the drug criminal vagrants. And you know what's going on. You know about the depolicing. You know about the property crime, the car prowls, the rapes that the vagrants that we've imported from around the country have committed. They come here, they use and abuse our drug laws. They take advantage of the most lenient, criminally irresponsible city council in the United States of America. And now our Seattle City Council is about to do something, unless the people sidetrack this. They're about to do something that's unprecedented, as far as my research and our news partners at KIRO 7. They have some radicals who want to eliminate probation for people convicted of crimes. Probation would no longer exist in Seattle. And I know that it's hard to believe that we could get that far gone when we have so many criminals roaming the streets. But what happens is sometimes they say, well, we won't sentence you to jail, but we'll give you 6 months, a year, 2 years probation. And in that time, you have to stay in touch with your probation officer so that the system has some way of staying in contact with the criminals. but some radical defense attorneys and the most radical anti-cop, cop-hating members of the city council, they are conspiring right now to eliminate probation as part of the judicial system here in Seattle. I'm going to talk with KIRO 7 reporter Lindsay Sheldon, who broke this story on their 7 o'clock news last night. She talked with Betty McNeely, a Seattle probation director, who said, because the initial proposal is we're going to eliminate 30% of your budget the next 3 years, and eventually probation will disappear as a tool for our courts in Seattle.
The proposal to reduce 90% of our budget would not only impact our probation department, also it would impact those people who are getting services and getting assistance pre-trial. So instead of being in jail, they're coming over and reporting to the court. It would also eliminate something we call the Court Resource Center, which provides up to 5,000 people a year.
I mean, you got to make no mistake about this. Our city council has gotten so radical, so anti-cop, so pro-crime, that they truly are talking about turning the streets over to the criminals. When you pair a proposal like this with the dramatic amount of depolicing that's happening, KIRO 7 also talked with Seattle Municipal Court Judge Ed McKenna, who explained how probation is used.
The idea behind probation is to assist offenders in making positive changes in their lives so they don't return to the criminal justice system. So probation is a tool that's available to judges so that during the course of our interactions with offenders in court, we have an idea of what the driving force is, whether it's a substance abuse issue, a mental health issue, domestic violence issue. We ordered offenders to comply with certain conditions, and those conditions that we order are monitored by probation to assure us that the offender is getting the services that they need and complying with the requirements of the court.
Again, I can find no record. Lindsay Sheldon, who we'll talk to at 12:30, she can find no examples of any other jurisdiction that has done this, that has eliminated probation. This sounds like one of the most dangerous things our radical city council has ever considered, and the judge is really worried about this.
I have serious concerns about the potential public safety risks of defunding our municipal probation department.
Yeah, but we can use that money for some other stuff, right? Some of your other wondrous projects that have so magically transformed our city. It's as crazy and radical as a city council can possibly get. And, they did talk with the sex vulture, Mike O'Brien, about all of this.
I think we're willing to move aggressively to really transform a system if what we see is evidence that it can be transformed to better meet the needs, both the public safety needs and the human needs of individuals in our community.
What has Mike O'Brien positively transformed in all his time on the city council? What has he done? As the streets, especially in his district, have been taken over by the RVs and the drug criminals. And we're trusting Mike O'Brien to positively reform anything in our world? The insanity continues at a breakneck pace here in Seattle. Up next in the Big Lead.
The Big Lead, Big Local.
As we've been telling you, 3 members of the city council are thinking about rejecting the new contract agreement between the Seattle Police Officers Guild and the city. Mike O'Brien, the sex vulture, he's one who's reportedly going to reject the contract. Gashama Sawant, who's nuts, and the grandma with the nose ring. Cool, edgy. And you need a supermajority, 7 out of 9 on the council. Jason Rantz, my colleague on 770 KTTH, he's got a piece up at My Northwest right now. Headline, Seattle police on the verge of extinction over contract dispute, cop says. And Jason talked with a Seattle police officer off the air who says that there is a mass exodus that's already been happening in SPD. My buddies who are Seattle cops have confirmed that with me as well. And now, according to this former Seattle cop, the quote in this story, he said, I have now had 32 different officers contact me in the past 5 days seeking information on the process to lateral to another agency. 6 in the past 2 hours due to the recent press release in regards to the contract needing independent review. And all of this is based on Lorena Gonzalez on the city council. Now, again, they've been negotiating for years. Seattle cops have been without a contract for years. They finally reach an agreement, and then the anti-cop Seattle City Council says, no, we're going to have an independent review, even though members of the city council are lawyers, the mayor's a lawyer.
The council will also likely contract an independent labor lawyer who can provide us with the Labor 101 primer that I think we might need in order to feel a sense of understanding and comfort with what our labor process was under our Seattle Municipal Code.
By the way, and I know it's painful to listen to, and do you have to talk like that if you're in politics? You have to have that tone of voice. Do you have to have that use of words? I'm going to play the second half of this soundbite. Listen to the words. See if you can make sense. Because I want to know what happens when you get into politics. My job is to communicate. My job is to have thoughts and to communicate them to you, hopefully with a little energy, with some passion, whether it's something we're goofing on, joking about, or, important public information that I want to make sure you're aware of, like this crazy probation scheme that the council's talking about. How do they talk in such a monotone, nasally, and then just listen to the word choice of the Seattle City Councilwoman, Lorena Gonzalez, in the second half of this soundbite of why they want to review the contract agreement with the police
under applicable state statutes, and making sure that, again, we all have a level of comfort and understanding with regard to the Labor Relations Policy Committee work that we did, and how labor negotiations actually function at the City of Seattle in the context of our obligations as management to engage in good faith labor negotiations with all of our labor unions, including SPOG.
Something weird happens when you get into politics. But, between this, there's that Initiative 940, where they want a citizens panel to oversee all cops in the state. And on that citizens panel, it will include illegals and children and previously incarcerated people. So, in other words, criminals. Illegals, children, and criminals are going to play a role in overseeing cops in our state if that crazy Initiative 940 passes. And Charlena Lyle's family, I know that they're still upset about what happened to their loved one, but they're one of the groups that wrote the yes on 940, which means you have people like this on the yes 940 side of things.
The police, they have a crooked pool in there. And these cops are dirty, they're treacherous, and they're killers. And they're joining the police force to kill our people, and I'm tired of it.
Why would you want to be a cop in our state? They're risking their lives every day for us, and they hear that. And it's not just from family members of people who've been shot, from Seattle City Council members.
Jay Taylor was painted as a criminal, even though he was murdered by the police.
Yeah, no, that cop was exonerated. Calling him a murderer is a libelous thing. But we've got this anti-cop mania around here. So in Jason Rand's story, over a dozen officers have reached out to him to express concern. Several say they're either in the process of leaving or about to start the process. And what that Seattle cop said is Seattle police is on the verge of extinction, because they are leaving in droves from SPD, because they have a city council that calls them murderers when they're not. You have a community that says people are joining the police department just to kill, and you're letting members of that community write initiatives so that illegals and criminals can have some oversight of our cops in this state. We're at a tipping point here. We're at a dangerous tipping point. And this has spread throughout the region. When Seattle sneezes, all of the Puget Sound region gets that cold. And you're seeing what's happening on the streets. You know that the drug criminals have taken over around here. And God forbid when we have that economic downturn. Economies run in cycles. And when we have an economic downturn around here with the record taxation, Inslee and the Democrats are proposing billions of dollars in tax increases. Superintendent of schools who's gotten billions in property taxes. Now he wants a capital gains income tax. And I'm telling you right now, and every major prediction we've ever made on this show has proven to be true. Except they finished the tunnel. I'll give you that one. But when we have that economic downturn, it's going to be really ugly. If we don't have cops on the streets, if we have radicals running the city who want to let probation go as a tool, we are in some incredibly dangerous times right now. And so I want you to be aware of all of this because two things have to happen. First of all, this probation thing, they're having another hearing later today on this. But the people have to get the city back from the radicals that you've put in charge. And frankly, everybody says, well, we can vote out all 7 city council members, but someone even crazier. Now, you need to be radical. You need to stop letting this be a one-party city. Forget about we'll get a more centrist Democrat in there. Democrats have ruined this city. When it comes to crime, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to the judicial system, they are in the process of destroying this city. And if the voters don't do something radical, and first of all, someone's got to run can restore some fiscal and social sanity to this region. Because we are tippling on the edge as we speak. That is your big lead this hour.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that you know everything about this whole probation deal because this is one of the most dangerous things I've heard proposed in a long, long time. Lindsay Sheldon, KIRO TV, she broke the story last night. She joins us next here on the Dori Monson Show.